Mountain News first at 4.
Good afternoon, I'm Steve Huntsley. First at 4, the rain is here, but it is expected to change to freezing rain at some point late tomorrow or early Friday. Some parts of the state could see a significant ice storm, and warnings and advisories, new ones, literally just came out. Meteorologist Evan Hatter begins our severe weather alert day team coverage. Evan?
That's right, Steve. Within the last 3 minutes, areas that we had some folks upgraded to the winter storm warning this morning. Areas that were still under the winter storm watch were just upgraded to winter storm warning, and everybody else that didn't have a winter product in effect now under a winter weather advisory. So let's break it down real quick. Who's under the winter storm warning? Well, we just added Breathitt, Johnson, Laurel, Lee, Magoffin, Owsley, and Pulaski counties to the winter storm warning. And that goes, again, from 10 o'clock tomorrow morning through 10 o'clock on Friday morning. Everywhere south of that now under the winter weather advisory, slightly less in terms of the ice totals. Either way, still an impactful storm on the way. And you see that dark pink color? That's an ice storm warning to our west issued by the Weather Service in Louisville. They're expecting a slightly higher amount of that ice accumulation, and that's why the ice storm warning is in effect for their counties versus the winter storm warning. Treat it the same. It's essentially the same as we head into the day tomorrow. But before we get there, we have the flooding risk as well. Much of the area is under a, let's go back, flood watch. There we go, through tomorrow, or starting tomorrow morning and into Friday morning. We actually just added 3 more counties to this as well. Elliott, Menifee, and Morgan were just added to this as we went over the last little bit, and that runs from 7 o'clock tomorrow morning to 7 o'clock on Friday morning. So that's the one of the 1-2 punch. Outside right now, we're seeing that rain already move in. I-64 at Moorhead, and as we head out into Whitesburg right now as well, sitting well above freezing at 51. Highs so far today have been in the 50s, and we'll continue to see upper 40s and low 50s throughout the nighttime hours. You see kind of one wave of the showers moving out, the next wave beginning to push into the Cumberland Valley right along the I-75 corridor, and we'll begin working through the region as we head through the remainder of the afternoon and evening. So download that WYMT weather app if you don't already have it, because that's going to be a critical tool for you to have as we head into this potential ice storm we have headed our way into tomorrow. We still have, though, temperatures remaining well above freezing as we head through the night tonight. I'll have the breakdown of the latest timing and the accumulations expected coming up in just a few minutes. Steve?
All right, certainly a very complex and complicated forecast. Evan, thank you. Governor Andy Beshear declared a state of emergency today in anticipation of the storm, and as people across the Commonwealth work to make sure they are ready for the worst. WYMT's Dakota Makris talked with Kentucky Transportation Cabinet officials about how road crews are responding to the threat.
All eyes are on Thursday and Friday as a winter storm makes its way across the Commonwealth.
We're going to go from today in the 50s with light rain to heavy rain overnight and tomorrow.
With rain moving in first, it will prove nearly impossible for crews to treat the roads ahead of time. They tell us they can only begin salting once that rain transitions to ice, something they will be keeping a close watch for, not wanting to miss a minute of opportunity to help.
The best thing we can do is just as soon as we notice things starting to freeze up, and of course the pavement temperatures will be a little warmer than the air temperatures. We'll have to treat bridges and overpasses first.
Saying the best thing to do is just stay home and off the roads if at all possible. Even if a vehicle handles well on snow, ice will be a different story.
Travel becomes impossible. You can't stand up and walk on the ice. Obviously, you can't drive on the ice.
Working hard to keep Kentuckians safe. In Hazard, Dakota Makris, WYMT Mountain News.
Now, on top of all that, we are also expecting wind gusts of up to 15 to 20 miles per hour, possibly leading to fallen power lines already weighed down by ice if we get it. And that could cause a disruption for road crews as well. Well, as Evan mentioned earlier, heavier ice is expected in parts of central Kentucky. That is why Scott County officials are preparing for the worst, expecting travel troubles, power outages, downed trees, and more. Hoping the lessons they learned after the ice storm of 2009 will pay off now. No matter what happens, they say they are as ready as they can be for what's ahead.
As we went around and did a whole county assessment of all of our critical infrastructure and make sure that every one of those pieces have at least a portable generator assigned to it, if not a permanent dual fuel backup generator, so that they're ready to continue on and doing their business.
Officials say they have 10 dump trucks and 6 pickup trucks ready to go within 30 minutes once the ice storm begins. And once again, officials are just urging people to stay home and off the roads if we get that ice. Well, as many across Perry County experience another day without water, officials with the City of Hazard Utilities say relief could be on the horizon. They announced in a Facebook post they are now working to push water out to multiple parts of the county. People in communities along Highway 80 like Elk Run and Hard Burley may already have water, while people in the northern part of the county in homes around Grapevine and the Wendell Ford Airport have water in the area, but a leak is disrupting its return to many people's homes. They are working on it as we speak. Now, while crews work to get the water back to everyone, bottled water is also being handed out once again this afternoon. The Grapevine Chavies Fire Department will be handing out water until 5 p.m. People can pick up water at the Lost Creek Fire Department until 6 p.m. And the Krypton Fire Department began their water distribution just a few minutes ago, and water is expected to be available there until 6 o'clock tonight. Well, we have more updates, weather coverage, and the latest closings on the WYMT News app. If you've not downloaded that app, just scan the code there on your screen with your phone. That will take you to a link to our news app that you can download. You can always find the latest closings and delays along with breaking news alerts. And we encourage you to download both the WYMT News and weather apps ahead of this next winter storm. In other news, the FBI is still working to find out who called in a bomb threat at Kentucky State University. The campus was placed on lockdown yesterday. They were given the all clear a few hours later. KState was one of several historically black colleges nationwide to receive threats. Law enforcement is reminding folks that if you see something suspicious in person or online, to report it immediately. Just in time for the official start of tax filing season, the IRS is warning you might have to wait to get your refund. As Gabe Cohen reports, the COVID pandemic, a backlog of returns from last year, and a worker shortage may add up to long delays.
A warning from the IRS. Expect another frustrating tax filing season marked by processing problems and refund delays. The agency is in crisis, facing a backlog of close to 10 million returns.
We're working as hard as we can.
Now dealing with new staffing problems from COVID and wage competition, with nearly 200 job openings posted on their website, on top of a long list of other issues like outdated software, tedious paper filings, and most notably, a lack of sufficient funding. Since 2010, the number of tax returns is up 19%. But the agency's funding and staffing are down close to 20%.
I think it all boils down to funding.
John Koskinen was IRS commissioner under President Obama.
If you have to call or you have to respond to a notice from the IRS, that's when the problems begin.
Last year, the IRS only answered 11% of customer calls, with many waiting hours to get through. Meanwhile, tax filing is getting more complicated in the pandemic, with new programs around COVID relief and child tax credits. Traffic to the IRS website nearly tripled in 2020 and rose again last year. Now, millions of taxpayers are still waiting for their refund.
It's been frustrating.
Paul Wansing and his family need that $7,000. He's on disability and his wife runs a small business.
Knowing that it's out there and we can't access it and we could really use that money right now is a challenge.
I think it's urgent.
The Build Back Better plan would include $80 billion to strengthen the IRS. But with the bill stalled in the Senate, the White House is now calling on Congress to provide another source of stable funding.
The agency has not been equipped with the resources it needs to adequately serve taxpayers in normal times, let alone during a pandemic.
Everyone's stuck.
Janice Shee runs a low-income taxpayer clinic in Maryland. They've seen a huge spike in demand.
We're trying to help these low-income individuals, but we can't always get answers either from the IRS.
It's been really stressful.
Jasmine Jones is days away from delivering her third child, and she's been waiting for her $11,000 refund since before she was pregnant.
And we have racks and racks of bills just to catch up on.
To avoid delays this season, the IRS is urging people to file early and electronically, use direct deposit, collect all documents before starting, and make sure everything's accurate, especially with stimulus payments and the child tax credits, all to avoid a frustrating wait.
It makes me think that I won't receive it this year.
Now, the deadline for most people to file is set for April 18th. It's not expected it will be delayed, even if some refunds might be. Let's head over to Wall Street now on this Wednesday. The Dow closes up today more than 224 points. We'll have more financial news in our next half hour. But straight ahead here on First at 4, as we prepare for possible ice in eastern Kentucky, winter weather of all kinds is causing problems for nearly 100 million Americans.
And a messy forecast on the way for the next 48 hours as rain turns to freezing rain with temperatures tumbling. I'll have the latest in our severe weather alert day coverage on the way next.